So we have two speakers today, and the first one is our friend, Evan Pritchard. Many of you know Evan. That is salute. Evan is a musician, a historian, and a writer of many books and publications, two of which you might be familiar with, No Word for Time, and more recently, Native New Yorkers. So Evan is here to tell us about the Muncie people and their travels. Welcome, Evan Pritchard.
Thank you, Judy Abbott. Judy Abbott, of course, is a famous artist, I might mention, of Muncie, the Esopus Muncie people. I'd like to start with a brief flute solo and my serious flute. So you can use it as a meditation. Just close your eyes for a moment. We're in Ulster County, or what's currently called Ulster County, and the year that they invented Ulster County, the Esopus had been there 1,000 years, and it was at the same time that the grand female chief of this county, Mama Nukwe, had just passed away to some kind of disease. At that time it was going through the tribes, but that's when they started this thing called Ulster County, but it's the same land. So this is a picture of Karen Moscow. There's our standing Muncie language teacher. I understand she passed September 6th. And almost all of us have known her in some way. And so this language is a very, very important language in the United States and Canadian history, but often that fact is glossed over. But a lot of place names are basically in Muncie. And a lot of great leaders were either Muncie or descendants. So she preserved the language. I studied with Beulah Timothy years ago, in 2000, who was considered the premier speaker of the Muncie language in 2000. And there's O'Mara's lexicon is one of the most reliable sources, and she was a main contributor. But Karen passed that on into the present day. Wunjiel Cone, homeland back east. So this is the map that I'm showing around, and there's a number of place names on here. And you'll see some of the later ones are also here as well. Kahat Singh is Kerhansen, and it means the place of the home of the wild geese. And so, there's a number of things. I'm not going to spend much time on the maps right now. I want to get to the main part of this is where did the Muncie who did leave, where did they go? And of course some have stayed. And again, Mun Turtle represents the Ramapo who stayed right here in the Wunjiel Cone. Okay, so here's the Algonquin civilization. There's the colored areas, the hatched areas are Algonquin civilization, the weak speaking the same language, all honoring Manitou in that word, Manitou, all across North America and Canada and U.S. Okay, go to the next one. This is a colored map getting to more of what the different territories within that were. This is just a blow up. It's not an island you didn't know about. Call 911. But the bluish area is all what people call Lenape. But really, there's it's a whole string of different related peoples with a related culture. But they're all different nations and different confederacies within that, with different names. And the word Lenape meant a good person in the language. And no one that I know has been able to find a written historical record of that word being used for a tribe until 1796. Okay, so the Hardenberg patent is relevant to where we are because, here's Kingston, and this is Hudson River. So it was broken up in these different territories. This was the original purchases, but this was all with the Hardenberg patent, which was signed by Queen Anne, and then was not sold until many years later, and is this salmon colored part would be the Sophus Muncie sale, and then all the way around is Minisink, all the way up here to this headwaters. And then this is the Susquehanna here, which is that borderland, with the Oneidas were on the other side. Go ahead. So this is a map I put together of all these different places that are identified as Muncie in New York State. It's a huge area when you put it all together, 10,000, who knows, I forget how many thousands of square miles is just Muncie territory. So, it goes to the what we call the Delaware River, but beyond that. And then the Delaware splits off into these different branches. And so the different parts of the Muncie people would be in these different branches. And this pink here is kind of a in-between. And Lamasse Posse is one of the names for this western branch of the Delaware, which you may not have heard. But it's apparently supposed to be Namasse Posse, which means the river of the fish. They put an L in there, part of the Lenape, the L dialect. And again, this is both Mohican and Muncie hunting land. And then you have the Susquehanna River. And on the other side is this Oneida territory, which was a place that used to be apparently Mohican, called Onaquaga. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. Because when they asked, well, part of it, they were told, yeah, we're going to kick you out, and you can just go to Onaquaga, because you'll be fine here. Well, there was a whole lot of asterisks on that. One is that it belonged to United. But we'll see what happens. She would know. And so this is probably the first map made of what the land part of the famous Nichols Treaty is. The Nichols Treaty is a really wonderful treaty because Governor Nichols, the first governor, really wanted to have a lasting peace with Esopus, as he had some respect. And so he tried to do that. We also got the plan. But what happened is that you see there's this little elbow here. And what happened was that between 1665 and 1677, which isn't that long, these Europeans moved in here, and then they started moving in here because, well, nobody's stopping us. And they built houses, and it caused a lot of conflict because they were stealing. And so, various leaders on the European side said, oh yeah, the check's in the mail, we're going to pay you. And they didn't. And so more and more conflict. So Mama Nukwe, which I always talk a lot about her because she was a peacemaker. And there was always a lot of conflict. And she kept New York out of the King Philip's War, which was really very bloody, 1676. And they asked her, are you going to attack us? Are you going to join those, Thursday, Saturday, from New England? And she says, am I going to join you and attack you and kill you all? Well, we all desire peace as much as we all desire the beautiful, warm sunlight of a spring morning, don't we? And then she left. She didn't answer the question. But they knew what she was saying, and so she maintained peace, and New York State never joined. Okay, so this is the Catskills, and you see the Minisink wrap around the Esopus and come all the way up here. The Minisink, with their capital in the Minisink Island there, Fort Jervis, wrap them all the way around the Esopus. I didn't know this until I was looking at the Hardenberg sale. This is Esopus Muncie. This is the main part. And Woodstock, Waucom, by the way, is Woodstock. That means a peaceful valley. And this light blue is their main territory, and the darker blue is hunting land, so to speak, but still a number of villages. And the whole Schoharie Valley became Mohawk gradually. It had been Mohican, and then they all migrated east. And the Mohicans ended up in the Catskill watershed, and they used watersheds as their boundaries. And Kingston, of course, was the homeland, like the focus of the homeland. And Wiltwyck, I believe, the word Wiltwyck, which is still there on the maps, Wiltwyck, I believe was referring to the Esopus, who prided themselves in their wildness and their connection to the wild. Wilt would be Dutch for wild. And there's a word that means wild in Muncie, which means to seek knowledge in the center, being in all the right places. And the Mastodons, they say that these are animal trails, but really the only animal that can build a trail is the Mastodon. Because the deer wander around, and the Mastodons, when they herd, when they stampede, they go straight, and they create a big trail right away. So this one is in Ithaca, and was found in Hyde Park in 1990, in an excavating pool. It was found in the Wappingers Muncie village of Aqua Nessing, which in Muncie, according to Mark Peters, means muddy place of the mastodon. Aqua meaning mastodon, according to him. And mastodons whose stampedes created the trails knew the safest places to cross rivers. And they were almost always there. So that's how Onaquaga really got started. Okay? So this book by Barbara Covey suggests that the great Tedious Kung, one of the greatest Muncie chiefs, and very involved in the creation of the United States, was the son of Joanna Kellogg, who was the sister of this Rebecca, who was the missionary of Onaquaga. So it all ties together. It's complicated. Okay? While Sonia was her name, and nobody knows exactly if it's Oneida or whether it's Muncie, but it makes a lot of sense in Muncie. I mean, you can take a stab at it. Wow is like beautiful and good, and this means pure, purified in some old Algonquin. But that's what they named her, and nobody knows exactly who named her. So this is her stone, the memorial, and this area where I'm standing, I took this picture, is right on this land where the missionary village was. It was extensive. There were lots of natives there. A lot of the Wappingers and Muncie went to Onaquaga and to various Oneida settlements because that was an old pattern of hundreds of years that goes on today. Because I go to see Mike Peters. How much time do we have? Oh, okay. But they still are, Muncie people are still often living on Oneida land. So that started here, but with intermarriage, the Oneida women had a role where in order to fit into the clan system, whoever was father to the children was raised in Oneida. So a lot of the history of the Muncie is actually lost from that point on.